Hello, brick sculptors, and welcome back to Brick Sculpt. This is Chris, and I have an exciting new piece video for you today. Today we're going to be talking about piece number 34103. This piece on Bricklink is called Plate Modified 1x3 with 2 studs, and in parentheses, double jumper. If you're on Lego Online Pick-a-Brick, it's called Plate 1x3 with 2 knobs. If you're on Brick Owl, Plate 1x3 with 2 studs, and if you're me, it's called the double jumper. This piece came out in 2017 and is still current today, and I love this piece. There are so many cool things you can do with the double jumper, and it is an expansion on its little sibling, the single jumper. Not that it's replacing the single jumper, because this is probably one of the most useful Lego pieces in Lego history, but both of them in tandem create so many more opportunities, and this is a piece that will expand your Lego game if you learn to use it and use it right. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the properties of this piece. The first thing we're going to talk about with the double jumper is the underside. And this piece is so unique in that it has 5 attachment points underneath it. The standard jumper plate, at least the modern version, there are 3 versions of this piece, has 3 attachment points underneath. So if you put the jumper plate on a plate like this, you can see the different positions in which it can hold based on the orientation with the back side. With the double jumper, it opens up a lot more opportunities. And I also did one of these with some dots on it to show you. The red dots will indicate anywhere that you could achieve that position with a standard 1x2 jumper plate with 1 stud. The yellow and green dots you could not achieve with a single jumper plate. You would need an additional piece. For example, to reach the yellow dots, you would need to stack 2 jumper plates like this to give it that needed offset. To reach the green dots, you would need a jumper on top of a plate to reach it out past where it would normally go. I should also mention that even though you can achieve these positions with the standard jumper, you only get 1 connection spot, which may be okay depending on what you're trying to do with it, but having 2 is often better, especially if you're reaching out further like this. So a lot of versatility you can do with that, and a lot of different positions you can hit based on that backside having 5 connection points. Now, one of the most common uses for jumpers or double jumpers is to offset walls or plates or bricks. So the traditional way of doing this with jumpers is you line them up, and this will allow you to take whatever you're putting on top of here and offset it by 1/2 of a brick, 1 1/4 LDUs, and that method works pretty good for most situations. Now, if you can do the same thing with the double jumper, you can achieve the same basic concept, but you get more connection points, which, depending on what you're trying to do with it, if you're trying to make it more structurally sound, more connection points is never a bad thing. So this one here, in the same amount of space, is a 12 long plate. This has 6 connection points, and this has 8. So you have 2 additional in there, which could be really helpful. Just depends on the application. Now, another really handy use of the double jumper is for expanding or shrinking plates. For example, here's a 2x4 plate. I can't stick a 3 wide plate on here because I'm going from an even number to an odd number. But if I take a double jumper, I can put it in here and then convert it to work just like that. I should note that in doing this, you will not be able to stick a 2 wide. It doesn't work. It'll be the same with a 3x3 plate as well. So depending on the application, you might want to use the standard jumper plate because this will work with a 2 wide, or you can convert it just like this. And now 12 studs on top, 8 studs on the bottom. You can do the same thing in reverse. If you have a 4x4 plate, you can put your double jumpers on the bottom just like this. And now we can go from an even number to an odd number. So something like this would fit right on there. This can be particularly handy if you're trying to attach them on end too. So you can take a 3-wide piece and stick it here and start to taper. If you're watching my obelisk build videos, I use this technique pretty extensively to help with the plugs that fill in the sides because I need to have very slight tapers. So going from 4-wide to 3-wide to 2-wide is something I have to do often in that build. So this technique comes in really handy. You can also reduce a plate on the top side. So if I have a 3x3 here, I can put 3 double jumpers on there, and then it will hold a 2x3 plate. Now, this was something that was harder to do before this piece came out. You could use this method where you line up jumpers, put a tile on it, and there you go, but not as structurally sound. This can pretty easily be pulled off, where this is quite a bit stronger of a connection, having twice the studs. One way to make it a little bit stronger with jumpers was to stagger them, like this. It's still 3 connection points, but they're connecting on both sides of the piece, making for a little bit better connection. Still not as good as this. So this is where this piece is a real game changer. It gives you the ability to have 2 studs side by side, something you can't do with a traditional jumper plate. And for structural stability, this can be very, very, very helpful. If you were going to take this and taper it down from 3-wide to 2-wide, it'd be very simple. Just like that. So a lot of things you can do with this and a lot of cool techniques. And this can really help elevate your builds. I'm going to show you here my favorite thing to build with this piece. And in the comments, I want you to tell me what you use this piece for. And also, I'm going to have the Discord server linked in the description. Go ahead and check that out if you haven't already. There's so many cool tips, tricks, and techniques on there posted by all kinds of people who watch this channel. And there is some really unique stuff on there. There's builders on there who are far better than I, posting just incredible things. And go ahead and check that out if you like this kind of stuff. I'm going to put a channel in there for double jumper just to share some ideas on there. So go ahead and check that out and share your pictures and comments and all kinds of things in there. But my favorite thing to build with this piece is floating stairs. So what I do, I take 2 double jumpers, I put a 2x4 tile overlapping 1 stud of each jumper, and then a 2x2 plate on the back. And what this allows me to do, if I build a whole bunch of them, is I can stack these. And I basically stack the 2x2 plate right in the middle of the jumpers, which gives me a slight overhang to lock in this lower step and staggers it back 1 stair width. And if we stack a whole bunch of them, this is my go-to stair method. It makes for a really attractive floating staircase. Now let's say space is a little bit tight and you need to make your stairs steeper. The nice thing with these having 5 connection points is instead of putting it in the middle of the jumpers, if you push it to the back of the jumpers and stack them this way, you can make a really steep staircase, but you can fit it in a tighter spot. Ideally, this looks better, but if you have to, sometimes space is an issue with Lego, and that can really save you in a pinch. Now let's say you don't want it as exposed as this. You can also put railings on these pretty easily. You have to build the sections a little bit different, but that would look like this. You take your 2 jumpers, put your plate on there, and then do a 1x6 plate up top. And right underneath that 1x6 plate, you put a 1x2 plate, just like that. And these are going to overlap real nicely when you build a bunch of them. You don't have to put that 1x2 on the bottom step because it's going to sit on the ground. But these will overlap just like this. And if you like these stair techniques, I did a whole video on this, the tips, tricks, and techniques for stairs. I'll link it here as well as at the end. But then you have these parts on the end you have the ability to build off of. You can also build this into a wall, which makes it attached to the wall nicely. In that tips, tricks, and techniques video, I show how to do that. And then you can put a railing up the side. I'm sorry about the ugly colors. I do this so you guys can see the part differentiation. If I did it all the same color, it'd be a lot harder to tell what pieces are what on camera. So that is my favorite thing to build with this piece, and I want to know what yours is. So let me know in the comments, let me know on the Discord. Can't wait to see what you guys come up with. That is honestly my favorite part of making these videos, is hearing back from you guys as to what you like and what you like to make, and I learned so much from this stuff that it really is helpful to me too. If you guys like these videos, please like and subscribe. I'm going to do more videos just like this in the future. So that's all for this time, and we will see you next time.